You know?
It's been wild. Been working hard, got home from work, ready to enjoy some good Overwatch now. Stayed up a little later than I should have, just watching Chinese contenders. So, we're
You were
feeling
telling
good
me
right
about that
now.
a little bit. You were telling me about that a little bit, and you were talking about some newer compositions that you've seen come out, as well as we were both kind of talking about the reemergence of Ash into the meta and into our hearts, as she's kind of become a little bit more fun to play.
Oh, I agree, and I think a lot of that is really just attributed to her getting more value. Her kid is really strong, seemingly against this double shield combo with the Orisa and the Sigma. Sigmas, have to really play creatively with their shield. That leaves
Mhm.
weaknesses in other areas. I mean, just there's a lot of cool things about her kit that's really getting utilized in this, kind of so named poke comp that we saw really popular in Chinese contenders last night. So that's it's cool to see. Ash is definitely a very multifaceted hero with a lot of dynamics to her kit. So, I think it's one of those good hit scan players that, kind of how Widowmaker took over the scene, uh, you know, feels like forever ago. I
Yeah.
could see Ash kind of doing the same thing, to be honest. So that's, something to possibly look forward to and something I've got my eye on, honestly.
I would definitely encourage that. She's one of the few DPS players I've ever been able to actually pull off for some reason. But we're going to be starting things off with our beginner division with the Achieve versus Cleaning Supplies matchup. And sometimes in those lower ELOs, you might not find such polished strategies. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at our map pool for this evening. And you can see there we're going to be starting things off on Nepal, a very environmental friendly map.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's honestly very interesting to me just starting off on the Nepal, strictly because Team Achieve, that's one of the maps they listed as their favorite map. So it's going to be
Mhm.
very interesting to see, how that transfers over to their play. Are we going to see, interesting comps, different strats? It could mean a lot of things. So definitely a cause for interest here on map one.
On top of that, looking down at a couple of the a couple of the roster selections that we go, I'm seeing a wrecking ball, and there's been a lot of talk about the wrecking ball tech that's been out there that's been kind of abusable, if you will. You know, a bug that was recognized by a high level player, and he wanted to make sure that Blizzard was aware of it, so he went and abused it in quick play. But apart from the abusing, I'd love to see some wrecking ball on Nepal, because especially on it's Sanctuary, I believe, is the map that I'm thinking of, um, where you can just hide in that hallway and roll out and get big boops.
Oh yes, that I think Sanctuary, maybe Sanctum. They're both S's, and I always get them confused. So I
They're
don't
spelled
know if there's ever
similar
a time. I know it's like
chords.
I'm never gonna win with that one. I've given up even trying. But yeah, Wrecking Ball. I mean, it's all the techniques. Is it going to get banned by Blizzard? All of that sort of conjecture aside, Wrecking Ball is a very dynamic hero to play. You don't see as much of it in organized play as you would on ladder, much to the chagrin of a lot of ladder players. So it's just very interesting to see how it gets worked in to these more organized comps. And that's something that I love seeing personally. So any map where we can see a Wrecking Ball, I'm definitely down for.
And as we get ready to get into our map, I'm gonna put you kind of over the hot coals here.
Oh dear.
Um, I know that you are a little bit newer to the PC realm of casting.
Indeed.
Welcome, and I hope your journey is amazing. But I'm going to give you some rocky roads without too much knowledge about these teams, except for their records, which means we've achieved at a 3-1, and cleaning supplies at 2-2, so not far off. Who do you take?
It's definitely easy to go with Achieve with they've got the superior record. It looks to they've got a good map one already. I think I would have to lean that way a little bit, but it's very early to tell. I mean, there's I took a look at some of the stats for cleaning supplies and all that good stuff, and honestly, you know Cleaning Supplies could pull out something really nice here. I don't think, they're possibly a better team than their 2-2 record would indicate, and that's just something I'm excited to see, honestly. And I'm kind of a blank slate, an open book, if you will, and I'm ready to
Uh-huh.
see, individually which player's going to make a name for themselves. Who am I going to remember the next time I'm casting these guys? Which I'm sure I will be casting them more. Uh, and a little side note, thank you because you've been a big part of my transfer over to PC. I've done a lot, as far as every other caster, I've done a lot of casting with you, and it's been a smooth ride, easy sailing, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just really excited to continue that trend and see some good Overwatch today.
Awesome. Well, these teams are wasting no time, so I'm going to waste no time with my answer. Just for the sake of arguing, I'm going for cleaning supplies.
I
I'm
feel it.
looking for the clean sweep, and I want to see it with sportsmanship, so it's clean play.
Cleaning supplies, clean play, they go hand in hand. At least we would like to see it that way.
Well, we're about to get on into the action. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into week 3, round 5 of ELO Hell. Get good. I'm just brimming with excitement for achieving cleaning supplies. I love watching teams that I haven't seen play before play. It's always thrilling.
Round 1.
It really is. It's wild cards. It's something you don't get to see at the higher levels. Everybody's at least been seen usually at lower level matches. So this is always a fun experience and something I'm very interested to see. And already we've got uniqueness on that tank line. We've got of course a nice traditional Ryan Zarya coming out, but we've also got Dervilla playing the Reinhardt with Life is Crazy on the Roadhog. So that's something that very dynamic, a little interesting. I've seen it before on this map, but we're gonna have to see what it does for him.
Looks like Chi's gonna get split up a little bit on their approach. Finally able to gather on that outside window, but just not enough time before Genji gets taken down. So Chi's gonna have to look to balance out this 5v6 if they want to try and contest, but it's not really doable. They lose 2 more and the point.
And the shotguns really have it there on that round. You see Life is Crazy on the Roadhog, Breaking Rad on the Reaper, both of them getting a ton of value. Close proximity, really the name of the game there on that point, and it's going to be hard to beat a Roadhog and a Reaper when it comes to that, especially when you throw in the kid abilities of McCree. And we see Breaking Rad here. He hasn't even been seen yet.
Oh! He got a little bit of extra time there than he should have, but he does get found out by Swampletics there at the very end, putting his dragons online. Very early to have that ultimate available. Of course, the other Cobra is coming in from cleaning supplies at the Rex. Find that initial hook, and the Deadeye comes out into a big shatter coming out from Genji main to counter, and that's going to be the point take, but they've got a sound barrier and a shatter to respond. They just follow up with the kills, and she almost has the point. Cleaning supplies able to squeak a little bit more ult or control percentage out of that fight.
And what's very interesting is they did it using less ultimates. They do flip that control over. The ultimates did help Cleaning Supplies gain a little bit of time, but a big shatter coming out from Genji main. It did get a little bit negated by SCR's sound barrier. But at the end of the day, it ultimately wins out. But like I said, some time was gained during the scuffle of it all for Cleaning Squad, and that's going to be a little bit of an advantage there for them. Big grab coming out early. The Dragons are there.
Dragons are there indeed, and oh no, Breaking Rad gonna go ahead and commit that Death Blossom there at the very end of the fight, possibly a switch coming out from that Reaper. Yeah, we're gonna see him going over to Mei, so not too much of a surprise there, but you were talking about those ults earlier, and one thing that is really stressed at this level is ult economy. Being aware of what you're using and what you're not using, and Achieve doing a great job right now keeping those ults in game.
Well, it's a bit of an X factor because it's one of those things you're either going to see it or you're not at this level, and the teams that do it are going to have a natural sort of inherent advantage, and we're seeing that here with Achieve as another big shatter from Genji main comes in.
And that's the second one we've seen from Genji main, and I think we might need to see a name change soon enough to Ryan main. I mean, most of those shatters beautifully executed during fire strikes.
The name makes me think of a popular adage I've heard is that main tank players, none of them main tank. they're just the best one on their team at main tank. And I've seen, I'm butchering the adage a slight bit, I imagine, but I've seen that kind of referenced on Twitter and other places before, and might be holding true here. We might have a legitimate DPS main player that's just, you know, got really good sense for Reinhardt.
Well, he's getting pushed off the plane at the moment, but Good Fox is going to be able to bring it back. The second dragon coming out from Swamp Athletics is going to divide cleaning supplies on the point and open things up. Guy from Stonky not able to find anything there. SCR did get taken out at the very end of that dragon, and that opens the floodgates for Achieve to take cleaning supplies out of the fight.
Yeah, that dragon, although it only got one, it was a huge pick getting the Lucio there, because Lucio was at about 65%. You have to imagine if Lucio's up, your Rhine Roadhog is going to get a lot more mobility. There's a good chance you farm up that sound barrier. You're providing healing utility to your team. Despite it being one pick on a very squishy target for the dragon, it did exactly what it needed to there.
So coming into our next map, this is the map that I was talking about how I would love to see, or next point I should say, I'd love to see the Wrecking Ball.
You might get your wish.
Just might. I hope Mag's not just messing with me.
Don't let it be a meme. Do it for
Right?
real.
Don't let my memes be dreams. My dreams be memes.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It remains the same. Just do it.
What a rollout. Mag coming out on the ball. Super excited about this. And on the flip side, Breaking Rad. Gonna go over to the Doomfist.
These are two heroes that provide a lot of explosive effect without the traditional, Junkrat adage. So Doomfist and the Wrecking Ball, both of those are going to provide that sort of explosive initial attack for their team, and it's going to be up to their respective teams to go in for it.
And Stonky, we're seeing Achieve once again use tactics that really do perplex players at this ELO, such as the off-point Torbjorn that we just saw. Bring the fight to the point, let the Torbjorn's turret do the work.
Absolutely, and the Torb turret and the positioning of it is so oppressive here, specifically on this map, that if done correctly, I mean, we're gonna see a switch off of Doomfist. It negates so much, and you see why the whole Ashe Torbjorn thing came around as the dishonest comp. That turret's having an extra player, essentially.
Good Fox, possibly in a tricky situation, but it's alright, he'll be able to skate on out.
The Reddit Lucio lives. You love to see it. I don't see it in
goal. I don't see it in my games. Yeah, that's about to say. Uncle Leg's finding a nice off angle here. He's got a threat of hitting that shield, and look at that Stonky hitting the shots from afar. Headshot onto SCR to take him out as G continues to clean up cleaning supplies on this point, and we really haven't seen a strong answer from cleaning supplies.
No, you really haven't, and a lot of this is really falling down to Stonky and Swampletics. They're just taking very aggressive, as we see here, very aggressive positioning, and then they're getting huge value with it. That was a huge little triple kill there coming out from Swampletics too, literally reinforcing my point as I'm saying it. Are they listening?
I think they might be. Check the mics, they might be bugged. What they need to be listening for is that Lucio Good Fox up on top. He's been there multiple pushes, so you've got to be looking for that as you enter into this fight. He's in position for the boot. Oh, with the mines! The mines came through and scared everybody away from the ledge, so he's not able to find himself as environmental. But I mean, what do you do in that situation? You've got a molten core ahead of you, mines behind you.
And the mines really do an excellent job there of literally separating the tanks from the rest of their team. That allows for huge kills on Dervilla and Life is Crazy, supplemented by that molten core. I mean, just a ton of value, and I don't know why you're expending ults into this right now if you're cleaning supplies. A questionable dragon, I would say, but Caster Curse as Dervilla comes in with a nice pair of kills on that Orisa. So possible value here.
Value definitely indeed. You're going to see Achieve possibly commit to giving up the point, it looks like. Yeah, we're going to give up the point and test it off to 99% so that they can come back. But cleaning supplies right now, it seems like they're getting into tricky situations, and their answer is press Q.
It is, and that is the mark of a practice team, shall we say, versus one that possibly might just be starting out, which, it comes with time, that sort of understanding of the synergy of your teammates, using that to determine, all right, when do I use ults here? When's a good time to kind of pull an ult off the cuff? It all requires a lot of timing and coordination with your team, and just a lot of trust. That's a tough thing to pick up early on. Ooh, big Deadeye from Swampletics. Ooh, the main tank's down.
That's a big thing for Davila to go down like that. Essentially, the supercharger from Genji main coming out this late into the fight with a sound barrier from Good Fox. They are putting everything into this fight. Achieve is looking to take this here and now. They have not been able to find the kills, but finally Swampletics finding that flashbang onto the brig for cleaning supplies. SCR not able to stay alive. As the kills flow through, they'll take back the point, and with it, they'll take the Nepal.
That was just phenomenal positioning control there coming out from Achieve too. The way they zoned everyone into that room. Obviously cleaning supplies doing their best. They avoided getting killed for a hot minute in there, but ultimately the positioning's always going to win that battle 100% of the time, and that's what we saw there. And just excellent awareness of where the enemy was coming out from Achieve. You love to see it. And speaking of loving to see it, I want to see some big shatters from the Genji main.
There was just nothing there.
Just wide open.
Ooh.
Yeah, Genji main might need to change their name.
Might. Unless they're going for the throw off, like, oh, he's gonna, this guy's just doing his tank placements, This guy's not gonna be good, and then comes out like, oh yeah, well, here's a 5-man shatter. What?
If I recall, on console, there's literally a player, I'm pretty sure they play Genji, and their account is I hate Genji for real. And
Yeah.
they played a lot of Genji coming up, so it's like, that happens, and that could be the case here, honestly.
I mean, to be fair, back in my console days, I was like almost strictly a Pharah Roadhog main. And then when I moved to PC, I went strict support, 100%. I don't know what it was. I was like, and I'm gonna go this way this time.
I was always a tank player on console, and I've kind of gravitated towards support as well recently. I started off, first thing I placed was tank,
console
but
players were just like, let's just all play support when we get to PC.
it's almost like we understand we're over to the master race now. We have to be subservient. I don't think that's actually it, but it makes for a nice joke though.
Wow, looks like we've just gotten the word in on what our next map of our matchup is going to be. Looks like we are going to be having Junkertown. Junkertown definitely most likely going to be favoring Achieve, because we do see that Swampletics has been favoring those snipers. He has it on his character sheet, but we also just saw it there on Nepal using that Hanzo and that Ashe. So definitely favoring Achieve as far as it goes on paper.
Yes, and you could definitely see Widow coming out early for Achieve. They are starting off on defense. Widow, that Widow duel can be very fun to watch here on the very first sort of beginning of Junkertown, right as the attacking team's coming out of spawn. So I'd love to see it. The question remains if there's a player on cleaning supplies that's up to the challenge, because the aim looked pretty strong from Swampletics there on that first map.
Not only did the aim look strong, but Junkertown is also a map that's notoriously difficult to get the first point, just because of spawn advantage in the way that defense can kind of hold around that corner. If they stick you in that open area, it's very difficult to transgress space. And that can be an issue that I myself, as a gold player, sometimes find extremely daunting. And we've seen Achieve be a little bit more coordinated, but we've definitely seen cleaning supplies be a little bit more willing to just kind of go for it.
They have. They play well aggressively together, and Stonky and Swampletics, I mean, we saw it on that control map on Nepal. They do a really good job of playing aggressively, using nice flank angles, getting a ton of value away from the kind of main grouping of their team. And that's something that can really, like you said, this first point can be very difficult to take on attack. A full hold could definitely be possible here, just based on the aggressiveness that Achieve's shown. Now, that could always turn around and bite them in the butt, so to speak. on defense, because you can be aggressive to a fault. But all in all, it looks like they've got an interesting variation on the kind of Chinese contenders comp that I alluded to earlier. The BAP is a staple piece of that, the double shield, Echo, but opting instead of for a Widow instead of the Ashe, going with a Zen instead of a Forget. Ultimately, all interesting choices. They give you good range here on this first defense, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do.
Cleaning Supplies right now previewing Pirate Ship with Manx on the Manx onto the Widowmaker. Looks like that's what we're gonna get. Tried and true with this ELO, and in some situations can be a fix-all. Let's see if Achieve is able to bring anything to the table to sink this Pirate Ship.
And it is. A fix-all's an excellent term for that, too, because the Pirate Ship Bastion comps are a bit of I almost like to call them a gatekeeper comp. They really test if the team you're playing against knows how to run the comp they are running effectively. Because if you run any lineup, really, a lot of lineups effectively, a Bastion's very easy to take care of. So it kind of comes back to a gatekeeping comp.
And speaking of keeping the gate, Achieve able to secure the payload in that open area that I was talking about. And in the process, they push Cleaning Supplies back, and the Pirate Ship now becomes so much more difficult. Because how do you set that Bastion back up?
You really can't. I mean, the only way I can see it working is if Breaking Rad uses tank configuration, tries to possibly go for a cheeky flank, something like that, get some values from around that double shield, because you do have that to contend with. Ooh, a bit of aggression from Life is Crazy. That could come back to bite him, but Immortality Field expended.
Yeah, a bit of aggression indeed, but the healer's there to keep him alive, as CR able to do so. Now the tank configuration going to be coming out into a fresh shield as Stonky takes the Mercy out into the back line. It's going to be a 1-for-1. Both teams losing a healer. But the payload's going to continue forward. No! Life is Crazy. Doesn't land the shatter, but the window comes out to answer, and it's going to find the kills that it needs, regardless of the Bastion, just off a point.
And that was an excellent positioning of that window, too. It allowed for the tank and Baptiste to focus on the tanks of Life is Crazy and Jabrilla of Cleaning Supplies, and really mitigated a lot of the line of sight that Breaking Rad had on the Bastion. Just a ton of, big brain there. The big brain continues.
The Gravitic Flex over onto the Bastion, which also catches the Widowmaker, and Mercy is able to put a kink in Cleaning Supplies' shame there. Oh, that charge, however, gonna land a big one, but the Transcendence from Good Fox gonna keep everybody from Achieve alive here in the final fight. It does not look like Cleaning Supplies is having too much of an issue with progress, but it's taking them a lot of effort just to get this to point 1.
I can't believe Good Fox managed to squeak that kill out onto Breaking Rad. That was impressive stuff, but Good Fox, transing really just to stay on that point to contest as long as he could. Ultimately, doesn't quite give enough time for the rest of the teammates to come back. But, like I said, I can't believe he got Breaking Rad and all that.
Now it's going to be a very, very difficult task for Achieve to get Breaking Rad on that cart, as he has once again become comfortable next to his pile of gold. And the ults are coming online now for Cleaning Supplies. Oh, big anti-nade comes through, and there is an Immortality Field, but since the payload's still moving, that's going to get used up quite quickly as Swampaletics wins the Widow v Widowmaker match. And what a boop onto the high ground. That's going to push the entirety of Achieve into a bit of an awkward position, allowing for Davila to get that kill. Now the payload finally moves into its resting position here at point B. The tank configuration completely thwarted by Have Some Foods. Body's still on the cart from Cleaning Supplies, as Achieve really is struggling to bring any sort of real resistance to Cleaning Supplies.
And I feel like a big part of that was just staggering coming out from Achieve, because we saw some good effort, some good kills coming through, a lot of value. Have Some Foods shutting down that tank configuration from Breaking Bad, who's now ultimately switched over to the Soldier. Just a ton of good stuff coming out, but it always kind of felt like Achieve was coming in a man down, and it really just allowed a pretty strong snowball on that second point coming out. For Cleaning Supplies, which has left them with a very tasty little time bank coming into this final stint.
And now as they reach this final point, they're going to be looking to keep as much of this time on the clock as possible, but that's going to be difficult if Stonky keeps finding picks. Breaking Rad and the Soldier not going to be working out as well as the Bastion, as 2 more members of Cleaning Supplies get taken out before that res can come through. Achieve able to finally find their footing and push back the offense.
I love that Stonky and Swampletics are running this Echo Ash lineup together. It seems like these two really do have a lot of coordination, a lot of synergy coming out as far as their DPS line together. And I think, you know, as we saw last night in Contenders, that's definitely a DPS line that, when played correctly together, can have a ton of value. And I think we just saw it specifically on that fight there, looking very good.
Round 2 for Cleaning Supplies as they face the new Achieve composition. They're able to get themselves a bit of presence on the point, but they're opting to go up for the high ground. The Gravitic Flux finds them in their covey, but there is going to be no Mortality Field there from SCR to keep them alive. Now Achieve getting a little bit aggressive, just walking past the Orisha shield and laying down the lob, but in the back line, Life is Crazy is doing the same, but Genji Main's the one paying dividends. He finds 2, while Life is Crazy gets killed in the back line. Achieve once again finding the upper hand in these engagements.
Oh my gosh, that Reinhardt duplication coming in from Stonky was absolutely huge, because as we saw, Genji Main getting a ton of value, just walks past the Orisa shield, big shatter, kills 2, does ultimately go down for his troubles, but Stonky comes in, regroups with the team as the Reinhardt, gets to swinging, lands a shatter, gets a few more kills. 2 Reinhardts can definitely clean up a fight for you, and that's now of course allowed time for Genji Main to reset with the team, holding comfortably on point, and now Bob coming in from Swampletics. Good shield though.
Bob there, but a quick answer comes out with the shield, as well as a charge, displacing Bob just a fraction. Quick lost fight for Cleaning Supplies, but speaking of time, only a minute and 30 seconds now left for Cleaning Supplies to push this payload, and as far as it's gotten on the 3rd point, this isn't a milestone that you would be leaving this attack happy with.
Absolutely not. We've seen the level of aggressiveness that Achieve can come with, and I really think you have to be getting 3 points on your attack to stand a chance of winning this map. And on the bright side, definitely winning the ult race are Cleaning Supplies. On the downside, the ults don't really combine well together, so we're going to see Supercharger and Guardian Angel coming out, but you know, not much synergy in the ult combinations at the moment.
Yep, this is the time of the game where everybody decides to press their favorite button, but it's going to be Breaking Rad with 3 with Attack Visor. They had to commit a lot to it, but they were actually able to save Minx's Deadeye, so they will still have that threat when they come around this bend.
That was really some great stuff coming out from Breaking Rad as well. Farms the remainder of their Tactical Visor very quickly, combines it with SCR's amplification matrix, and you just throw those 2 together, and it's basically like a nano visor. One that requires you to be relatively stationary, but a nano visor nonetheless is essentially what you're looking at there. So just great value, way to combine some ults and kind of pull something out of nothing there.
Ult combinations can be the difference between a good and a great team. And we're seeing the Deadeye getting committed and takes Good Fox out in the back line. So 1-for-1, Achieve loses a healer, Cleaning Supplies, a DPS. Ash coming in from the high ground. Swampletics trying to make a difference for their team in these last few moments, but it's Manx that's going to find the better of that Ash in the Deadeye, the Deadlock duel there. So, now Body's building on point with the coalescence coming out from Have Some Food as she tries to help her team into the winning slot. Now the kill's finally coming through for Achieve as Cleaning Supplies cannot dish out enough healing at this moment, but the damage is gonna be there. Javilla and Manx both finding multiple kills as it's up to the respawns now. And Bomb on the point for Achieve to finish this fight out. Mag getting mighty low in the back line, getting taken out by Life is crazy, because it certainly is. There's the Echo onto the McCree, trying to get another Jedi out, but the McCree gets taken out before that can happen. So Stonk back to that Echo formation. Jedi into the back of the point, finding 2, and Manx may have sealed the deal. Nobody on the payload. Cleaning Supplies in overtime, going to take it.
And that is absolutely what they needed there. A bit of a statement, you know, hammering it home there in the final, you know, dwindling twilight, as it were. And Manx, a phenomenal job flanking around, understanding that the team had everything kind of controlled on the point. They had a nice nucleus, everything was grouped up, playing well together, knowing that they're able to kind of rotate around, get that nice line of sight, cleans up all the chance of contestation for Achieve, and really just seals the deal there. And just uh, you know definitely the signs of life we needed to see from cleaning supplies. A lot of coordination coming out there in that final fight, and that's something that they're really going to need to hang on to and continue to kind of hammer home to tie this series back up, which they have a strong chance of doing now.
Last thing I want to see is a blowout.
Absolutely, so
I
true.
want to see a good
No
fight.
one wants that.
I want to see 5 maps. I want to see the whole shebang. So I
Give me
too
the
also,
goods.
yeah, I'm very happy that Cleaning Supplies has showed us that they've got a little bit of life in them. They're ready to bring it to Achieve. Maybe it was just a fluke there on the first map, but
Could
I
be.
think Cleaning Supplies looking very strong in that last attack. Things kind of derailed for a little bit when they had to switch off of the Bastion, but eventually they found their footing again.
Absolutely. And you can never discount the fact that some teams are just stronger on specific map types than others. And some teams that are immensely powerful on control, they may lack it hybrids or payloads or even 2 CPs. There's dynamics that are different. Ooh, Manx. That was big. I asked the question earlier, could someone step to Swampletic's hit scam? And we have at least the start of an answer there from Manx.
The entire team of a team dedicating utility over to zoning out that Widowmaker. Now Manx is able to grapple up into a new position, but life is crazy and slept out there, as well as breaking Rat, going in deep, finding himself a very nice tasty anti-mage. Something going to take advantage of, but really Cleaning Supplies doing a good job of mitigating here at the bridge.
It's very interesting to how both teams are running the kind of non-standard double shield lineups. There's 2 of them respectively, and they're each running them. And both teams really, running their, how they're supposed to be run well. We're seeing Life is Crazy switching over to that Zarya for Narisa Zarya comp, but, defensively, Cleaning Supplies did a really good job setting up the 2 kind of shields, the 2 points of attack for their defense with the Orisa and the Reinhardt. It looked good. Ultimately, Achieve just aggressed and just banged down the door, essentially.
Yeah, they say don't judge a book by its cover, and that looks aren't everything. But if the book doesn't look good, I might not read it.
True. These are also true words.
And Achieve has been a book that both looks good and it performs.
This is true. It's true. And one thing you can count on is Genji main is going to go into that backline and try and hit that shatter. And now he's got a nano to help him do it.
Yeah, Nano boosted Reinhardt's not what you want to see pressing W towards you, but damage still being mitigated. They're not winning the fights, but they're taking long enough to die that the payload is not moving, and thus the clock is still ticking down.
Yes, this type of kind of staggered out play. Ooh, Genji main. That was a well-needed charge there on the Breaking Rat. That shut down what I was just about to say about how Cleaning Supplies was doing a great job staggering out their heroes, just to provide a good contest, looking for that shot, when an ult come through with a big pick. Ultimately, Genji main kind of just slammed the door on that, though, said, I'm going to charge your Reaper, and he's not going to get his Death Blossom. That's life.
And we've seen Breaking Rad make a couple of questionable decisions, or aggressive decisions, I would say, on that Reaper. And that continues to be the case, but aggression is the name of the game for Achieve, as they have 5 ultimates coming into this next fight. They may not have a Lucio, but who needs him when you can see through walls like Manx and Swampletic can right now? And both teams really just kind of yielding to those sites.
And it's leading to a very interesting duel, a Widow duel going on in the center room. Manx getting the better of Swampletic again.
Yeah, that's not the first time we've seen Swampletic be bested on the sniper role, and it's not going to be the last time tonight. But Genji main continuing to punish Breaking Rad for being the aggressive Reaper that he's been all map. He lays down the shatter and is able to find a couple, but still, the rally coming through from Cleaning Supplies to keep their team in it is only going to push them further and towards the Gravitic Flux. Charge coming through, getting himself deep. Genji main will get taken out of the fight by Breaking Rad. A bit of a vengeance. There's a Death Blossom into a Graviton as well as a Bob. Looks like we also had Or did Mag just eat that whole thing?
I think so. Mag did a perfectly timed accretion there. It was phenomenal. Or gravid. The grass.
The kinetic grass, yeah. Absolutely able to find Gorilla there at the end as well. But beautiful play there by Mag. I mean, it kind of broke my brain a little bit because I was like, oh, Death Blossom, Graviton, team kill, right?
I was completely bamboozled by all of that. Honestly, it took me completely by surprise. I mean, just huge. I mean, that was the shutdown that really Achieve had to. They just had to do that to be able to proceed that point, to have any sort of a rival time bank to what Cleaning Supplies came in with. I'm just surprised that it happened. I've always seen very unlucky timings with that Sigma ability. I've never seen it work like that. That was impressive.
Continuing to impress. Already 56% up to that next Gravitic Flux. And now we see the window come out from Have Some Foods as she tries to get a little bit of vitality back into her team, but the window very far out in front of the team, not giving a lot of value. The kills still coming through for Achieve as Cleaning Supplies uses that supercharger to try and cling to this defense, but the payload continuing to pass them by.
The pigs keep coming in and
moving.
I don't understand this fight has just been so chaotic ever since they came into this final stint. It's like Mag broke the well open, and now just pure pandemonium is ensuing.
Yeah, Pandora's box has definitely been opened here.
It's a war of attrition. You know, you're seeing fights. No one's trying to get out and regroup. They are going to fight till their last man. It's Custer's last stand, essentially. The last man.
Well, Achieve having a lot of momentum coming into this third point, now at a similar situation as Cleaning Supplies, to where they now have to regain that momentum. But Mag being very, very aggressive on this Sigma is definitely helping with that. They have the Shatter, they have their Gravitic Flux, and we've seen both of these tanks for Achieve do great things. Bob going to commit to the fight by Stonky as well.
Huge!
It defines more than one, and that's going to be 3 kills for Achieve to start things off. Granbury Ruby does have the Coalescence, but that really is just staving off the inevitable, having to hide behind that corner as the payload continues to cruise towards that pretty golden box.
I get literally giddy inside when I see the Rhine charge timing into the Mei Icicle basically unfreezing at the perfect time. Like those well-timed Rhine charges, they because I play a lot of Rhine and I love when I hit them, I love when I see them, and that was a nice one from Genji main, doing a really good job to that would have provided a lot of contest there for Cleaning Supplies had Breaking Rad been allowed to live, been allowed to throw up the ice wall, but ultimately just a well-timed charge, there's nothing you can do there. And on
well, and you also said you have to get 3 points if you want to contend here. Both teams taking your advice as we go into our next round. And, now you've got a chance to kind of throw a wrench in the works, if you will. Neither of these teams showing the same compositions that we saw last time around.
And that's in my opinion, that's just a very good strategy as well. Show different looks, get the teams, thinking that you can only play this one style. You can only do this, you can only do that, and then completely throw a wrench into that whole plan. And especially here when you're talking, lowered time banks, 232 in a minute respectively. When you see all that, throwing that little bit of a wrench in right at the start, that could be enough to get the ball rolling, to really let you snowball through here, because we've seen it time and time again how easily that can happen, where you get that first fight and you may win that first fight in overtime, but it allows you to literally just stay on the point, you fight, the other team feels the need to stagger in, and you just kind of keep winning, you keep rolling, and you full cap in overtime. So it's not unheard of. It happens all the time. And maybe that little niche could be exactly what breaks it open, that little change.
And we're seeing the wrench definitely working this time around for Cleaning Supplies. They've opted for a bit more of a dive, but Swampletics finds both supports in the back line. What a Junkrat. Looking for the baby Diva as well. Walking around the point with 17 seconds left. Cleaning Supplies had a lot of hope in their hearts, but now looks like the dimmer switch has been turned on.
Yeah, that started off very strong, but Junkrat in the backline. Uh, my, I have friends that would be proud. Junkrat mains around the world are proud.
Oh, yes they are. Finding another kill there with the Riptire. Swampaletics helping bring his team to victory with a very, very early stop here on the payload.
I'm surprised we're just now seeing the Junkrat in this Achieve lineup. Because they play so well aggressively. That's the name of the game. And Swampaletics, playing around the Reinhardt there, playing around Genji main. I mean, just a ton of value. You can provide. It's almost like having a Mei, honestly. Having a Junkrat kind of pocket you when you're on Reinhardt. It allows you can create all this space. You're booping people out of the way. You're getting swings on them as they're getting booped away. It just all combines. You're doing a ton of damage. You see it work really well on attack for Volskaya on point A. And you can see it, played the right way. Honestly, it can work just about anywhere. And we just saw a very prime example of that with Swampaletics and Genji main playing together, popping off, getting the value.
So now a bit of a big task for Cleaning Supplies, as we saw their first defense at this choke. It lasted, but only for about a minute, maybe.
It is a tall order indeed.
And now they have to do it for 2.5 minutes.
With even shorter distance. I mean, it's a recipe for disappointment, honestly. It can be done, but you have such little real estate to work with. And again, we saw it. It happened to Cleaning Supplies. It's very easy to get stalled out here. But that 2.5 minutes, that's a lot longer than a minute. It's giving you enough time to farm up some of these big value ults, your tires, your bombs. Yeah, it's definitely causes a problem for the defense here.
Another problem for the defense is the fact that you can give no quarter. You can really give up no free ground here in this engagement. And Stonky finds the first kill onto Manx as Genji main does get trapped behind that Reinhardt wall. Now at a bit of an advantage with the only team as 2 shields. We should be able to find the damage as they need. Good Fox doing a good job on the Honor, keeping the members of Achieve alive.
Yes, Good Fox has been, honestly, the support play, I always like to say it, when you don't hear the support players mentioned a lot, odds are they're doing a pretty good job, and I think we're seeing that pretty well from Have Some Foods and Good Fox.
Oh, and there's Swampaletics coming back into the fray, finding another kill. And now as Achieve whittles down the members of Cleaning Supplies, it truly is only a matter of time before we see that famed Achieved wins score line, if you will.
And definitely a lot more fight there coming out from Cleaning Supplies. Definitely a map they looked a lot more comfortable in, and just something you just honestly you want to see that more. And look, back-to-back play of the games. That's what I was stalling for. I wanted to see if Genji main was going to get back-to-back play of the games, and sure enough, I love it. I play a lot of Reinhardt. I get in trouble for being too aggressive. Here it is. Are we going to see it? Yeah! There we go.
So right. It's at this time that I have to present Genji main with the challenge. Do it again. I want to see at least one more map with a Genji main play of the game again. I want to see it.
You got to hit the hat trick. I mean, at this point, it's like the Triple Crown. It's the hat trick. The 2's good, but you got to hit the 3. That's all that matters. And I'll tell you what, Genji main has made a fan out of me. I love some just strong, call it what you will, call it Alpha Reinhardt play, call it Chad Reinhardt play, whatever you want to call it. But you love to see it, reminiscent of Bumper.
Wow. If you want to see if Genji main can get one more play of the game, make sure you stay tuned. We are going to go to a short break, and we'll be right back with Hollywood and much more Overwatch action. What's up, guys? We are back from break, and we are about to dive into Hollywood with our beginner matchup versus Cleaning Supplies. It is currently 2-0 in favor of Achieve, and they have opted to stay on defense yet again. And going into Hollywood, now you've had a couple of maps, Ham, to kind of measure up these teams, so to speak. What do you expect them to bring to the table?
Well, honestly, I respect Achieve's mentality of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's exactly what they're doing, maintaining the defense, starting on that, basically realizing they're basically making sure that the bar is set for what they have to achieve on their attack. And then they're adjusting their aggression accordingly. And that's really the tale to me so far, is that the aggressiveness of Achieve is just getting a lot more value. I mean, we're seeing some good aggressive play coming out from cleaning supplies. You're seeing Breaking Rad very aggressive on the Reaper. But one thing, harkening back to my own sort of play experience, especially since I've played a good bit around this rank. Uh, one thing that was coached to me was that aggression that your team can't act upon is feeding. That's the kind of direct sort of definition of it, and that is often kind of that's what happens as teams are sort of still gelling together and getting all the working pieces sort of moving together. And another little coaching adage I got that actually I just thought popped into my head is the fact that it's a lot easier to teach someone to kind of rein in the aggression than it is to teach someone to be more aggressive. So, I think cleaning supplies are at a good starting point. They've got a good opportunity to continue to fine tune things in this map. They're down 2-0. They need to get the win, but realistically, if that's not something that's available to them, they're able to learn from this, continue to polish some things, and really use that to come on strong for the remainder of the season. Meanwhile, back to Achieve. I mean, they're just playing really well together. Their DPS is in perfect sync. The supports, like I said, it's been a quiet day from them because they're just doing their job, pounding away, doing what needs to be done. Great positioning all around. You're seeing the aggressiveness of Achieve rewarded by the rest of the team. So you love to see it.
Also, I do want to point out when you brought up support. I wanted to bring up that Have Some Foods has popped out, and we are having Joe the Wolf come in. So, another support, a different support, if you will, for Achieve, which I'm totally down for. This now allows for the entirety of the Achieve roster to have played today.
Yeah, you got to get everybody playtime, especially you're up 2-0. If you've got players that are still learning with the team, this is a great time. Emotions are riding high, everyone's feeling good. This is a good time to work in synergy. Otherwise, it's a good chance to just try some stuff out, try some unique strats. Maybe you bring in niche players for specific things. Lucio Ana seems to be a little bit falling by the wayside as far as the meta goes, but definitely still a lot of utility and a lot of value there. Meanwhile, we're seeing some kind of previous metas of the last few months coming out. You got the Ryan Diva on attack. You've got Lucio Ana, Genji and Sombra. You've got the what is that? Cyber Dive. That's the word.
Yeah, Cyber Dive. I like Cyber Dive. That's a good terminology. This is definitely a composition that's very much like back in my day when we played Overwatch.
Pappy used to say.
Yeah, exactly. It was a Wednesday back in my day, and this was the kind of composition that we run. But clean supplies, very quickly learning that if you're going to run this composition, you need to be able to follow up on that Genji, on that Diva, if you're going to get those kills.
You have to, if you're playing, even if the rest of your team isn't playing dive heroes per se, when your DPS is playing dive, you have to be able to dive onto those targets to get value, because there's Sombra and Genji, they both rely on very specific things that they do. They're not great at cleaving big chunks of damage. They're great at opening up people for damage and then finishing people off. And so you have to, as the Reinhardt and the Diva, you've got to be able to take advantage of that. Ooh, that is a nice block, though, coming out from Dravilla there.
Yeah, it's the first. I think that's the first that we've seen Genji main's blocks shatters get blocked. But Dravilla going to be falling there in the end. The healing just not able to cut it. As we see Achieve continue to surpass in these fights. Cleaning supplies not able to find a clean answer, but Manx did make the monster bleed at the very end of that engagement.
That is true, and that's definitely something that the reset here can take advantage of. But these long drawn-out fights, they are not going to benefit cleaning supplies. They need to do kind of as they're doing here. Quick fights, quick kills. That's what's going to benefit their DPS line the best. But ooh, Genji man, he's got something to say.
It's not going to benefit your team. A 3-man shatter. But it looks like Joe the Wolf is going to be able to get out the nano boost as well onto Genji Maiden. Suddenly Achieve has a whole new breath of life on this defense. teammates into the back line, doing a lot of work to harass Joe the Wolf. But in the meantime, the rest of Cleaning Supplies are taking up kills on the point to finally get Achieve out of the fight. They're able to get the Graviton out. There's the Dragons as well. And Achieve committing everything to making sure that Cleaning Supplies can't take this point.
And even so, you know, picks still coming in for Cleaning Supplies. I mean, they are going to have to use every ult in the bank. Stonky's going to have to come through on that Ashe. Bob does ultimate glitch slept, but Stonky getting a ton of value. Dravilla getting mag, though, before being taken down. That is good for the attack. They will have time to reset. They've got, you know, you've got the Nano Blade online. You've got the EMP. You know, you've got your win condition right now if you're Cleaning Supplies. That's definitely the play. And even better, there's no ults looking at, you know, staring them in the face. This fight, it would be very hard for Cleaning Supplies to lose here.
Well, they're gonna go ahead and commit the Nano Blade, and Breaking Rad late with that EMP. But this is quite a memeable moment right there. Good Fox in the corner on Lucio, continuously booping away the nano boosted Genji to the point where he lost all value.
I owe Cleaning Supplies apology. I definitely cursed at that. Apparently there was a way to lose that with those ults. That was excellent play coming out from Good Fox on the Lucio. That boot was huge, just doing so much to mitigate the Genji damage. But more importantly, Breaking Rad on the Sombra very late into that EMP, and that really could have shut down the boot. You know, doing that prior to Genji's dash up.
And Chief comfortably sitting there with the sound barrier for the defense. They will be able to do it, and mind you, regardless of the fact of the long fight that we thought Cleaning Supplies was going to win, they did not get a tick on the point. They were not able to get any percentage. It's still like a 100% hold.
Wow. Wow. And ults were still ready and waiting, loaded up, ready for Achieve's defense. So I mean, they still had bullets in the chamber. I mean, just phenomenal stuff coming out from the defense. And oh, you got to feel for Cleaning Supplies there. That's got to be frustrating. I think, you know, the comp they were running was less than ideal. You know, D.Va, you know, I believe that was Life is Crazy on the D.Va, was really having to do a lot just to kind of chill in the back line, keep SCR and Gamba Ruby, keeping them up, keeping them away from damage, you know, just doing that protection. And you really need your D.Va to be able to, you know, go up there with Manx and Breaking Rad to get a ton of value, to really secure those kills, to use those rockets to provide that burst damage in. Sombra hacks, D.Va bursts, Genji comes in with the, you know, triples and then the dash, and you finish off a target. And, you know, when you're missing any piece of that puzzle, or they're not all kind of functioning perfectly fluidly, then you're going to have trouble. And I think that's ultimately, you know, really what we saw there.
And another aspect of the game that we really haven't touched much on today is the mental aspect of Overwatch, you know, especially when playing one team consecutively over multiple maps in a matchup like this. And if you're Cleaning Supplies, you're down 2-0, it seems like nothing you can do is bettering Achieve, and that affects how you play. And likewise, Achieve, having been able to be successful through these two maps, they're riding a little bit of a high right now.
Mm-hmm. And I'm probably going to show my my boomerness, if you will, just by even saying this. But there's a movie called The Replacements. Keanu Reeves plays a quarterback. If you haven't seen it, that's all you need to know right there. But they talk about something called quick scan, and it's exactly what you described there, Scheidel. You know, you're playing a team, bad things keep happening. It keeps getting worse. Suddenly you're playing worse. It's just this compounding effect. And I think we're really seeing it here. I mean, you know, Cleaning Supplies, they're fighting hard, they're trying to keep it up, but you know, certain things just don't go right, and it's so demoralizing as a team.
Well, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel there for Cleaning Supplies, as they were able to successfully kind of batten away Achieve's initial approach, but Achieve not wasting any time on the re-engagement. They're going to get right back into it. Mag very, very, very close to those mines, as Swampaletics finds himself 2 kills early into the fight, 1 even a support. It's the entire support line now. Cleaning Supplies goes down, the fat shatter from Genji main, and Achieve is looking to take this matchup 3-0.
That was an excellent. They just the way they regrouped, pushed back in. That was just very excellent play. I mean, playing around Genji main. That's how this team seems to be winning. But Stonky denying the hat trick from Genji main.
Let's see what we've got, Stonky. All right, all right. Big TNT.
That was some good solid Ash play.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
that was
Looked good.
also in defense of Genji main. I think that was one of those plays of the games where you're like, why did I get play of the game? And everybody else is
Right.
like, aliens, bro.
Give it to Genji main. We wanted the hat trick.
We did. We really did.
Disappointing. But the play from Achieve is not disappointing.
Not at all. Achieve able to secure a 3-0, and that puts their record to a 4-1 right now. At the top of their division. You did just see the beginner division, by the way. So these are teams around gold, about. So still grasping kind of the upper echelons of team play and the bigger ideals of the game. But they're still out here. They're putting on their best. And I don't play competitively on a team like this. I would never want to. Like, get me casting about it all day, but I'm not putting my play on the line like this. So big ups to both of the teams for coming out and
So true.
duking it out.
Just so true. It's definitely there's a whole level of energy and kind of drive that it takes to do this. So shout out to all these teams. You're putting yourselves out there, you're playing hard, you're laying it all on the line, and ultimately at the end of the day, you're just going to get better from it. So we love to cast it, we love to see it, we love it. That's all you can say, really.
And I don't know if I truly have to ask you this question because I think I know the answer. But before we take a
Oh,
break, before we move over to the next division, your MVP vote?
Genji main, gotta do it. You knew it. You knew I had to say it.
Well, there you go, folks. Genji
You
made the
know,
vote for the MVP from both of the casters. And we are
I'm
ready to go.
biased.
Wait, what you got? What you got?
I got it. Well, no, I got a tank bias. I'll almost always, if the tank players are popping off, they're going to get an MVP from me. I think so much is revolved around good tank energy, and
Yeah,
we saw that in spades from Genji main. So big ups, big ups.
that we did. But we are going to be right back from our break here in just a moment with Team No Name versus Nanomi in our advanced division. So if you're looking for those high IQ plays, we'll be right back.